All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99 back with another post-fight discussion video. All right, y'all, let's talk about it. Deontay Wilder versus Joseph Parker. First off, I got to say this was a pretty solid card as far as like matchups. This kind of reminded me of like a UFC card as far as like how they put this many names on a card. You had Wilder on the card, AJ on the card, Bivol on the card, Big Baby Miller, just all these different levels of fights, from the prelims up. It was just kind of interesting that Frankie Sanchez heavyweight, they rarely do this for boxing. It's always about one or two big fights on a card, and the rest are just, some of the guys who are on the come up that nobody's really familiar with. But they really did do some good matchmaking as far as, putting the levels together on this card. And I think that's what boxing really needs right now, especially with the way boxing is kind of suffering compared to MMA. I think they're going to need to start putting together more cards like this outside of the zone. I'm talking Top Rank, whenever the PBC and Al Heyman that settled down at Amazon, all that kind of needs to be worked out. But anyways, we'll talk about that in another video. Deontay Wilder versus Joseph Parker. First off, I have to say this fight kind of reminded me of Harold Graham versus Julian Jackson. It's kind of one of those type of fights where you're just watching the more craftier boxer just kind of going through the motion and outlanding the puncher and just kind of confusing the puncher. And all the while, you're just kind of waiting for that big shot. You're just waiting for that power puncher to finally land that one devastating blow that's going to make the whole crowd that came to see Wilder score a knockout to potentially line up an AJ fight to just get up out of their seats and just start cheering and say, Wilder's back, right? But unfortunately, that shot never came. And that's crazy because this is Deontay Wilder, right? This is Deontay Wilder. And this is the heavyweight division. So you're like, all he needs to do is land that one sweet right hand or something and put that one shot together at one point in 12 rounds, and he'll raise his hands in victory. But unfortunately, that shot never came for Wilder. Joseph Parker, I think he fought a good, crafty, safe fight. But all the while, to me, he didn't really do anything like special like Tyson Fury as far as like smother. He did smother Wilder a little bit. When Wilder was just sitting back, he did outland him and land some good shots to hurt Wilder. But I think it was a mixture of course, Joseph Parker being the more slicker boxer in this one, that wanted to let his hands go. And it also was combined with Deontay Wilder just being tentative. Definitely not making an excuse for Wilder, but I just think it came down to Wilder not being able to get into a rhythm against a guy that was throwing more punches and, just kind of walking him down. Deontay Wilder taking this back foot approach really didn't work out well for him. I mean, I feel like all he needed to do in this fight was just maybe take 2 steps back just to create the range and fire off a good jab and then set up that, use the jab to set up that right hand. But he was really on the back foot throughout this fight. I mean, the first half of this fight wasn't really a lot of action, but there was always that tense moment of waiting to see that big power punch. But honestly, for me, like when I got down to round 3 and 4, I just kept watching Wilder's footwork in this fight. Like I just kept watching how he was planting his feet and how he was moving, and something about the way he was moving his feet, I just didn't really see that big shot coming. So at that point, I was just like, I don't know what Wilder's doing here. I don't know if he's just trying to box and be safe and then maybe score the knockout. But the way he was like moving on his feet, he didn't really want to seem like fire off the big shot. Because like I say, he spent so much time on the back foot. Like he really needed to move forward in this fight, I think, and just stand his ground and keep it in the center and, set up the right hand behind a good stiff jab. And that was another thing. Like the jab was non-existent. The first round, he wasn't really setting up a jab to the stomach or to the chest on Joseph Parker. And he was always like in range to hit Joseph Parker, and Joseph Parker was out of range at times. So I was like, where are the shots at? Where's these long shots? You got a 7-inch reach over him and you're not firing off these long straight shots to get him out of there. So at that point, man, like when we got down to round 4 and 5, I was like, I don't know what Wilder's doing. Like he's just kind of moving on his back foot and he's not throwing anything. And then, going into round 7, that's where Joseph Parker, to me, started to step it up. He started, okay, Wilder's not throwing anything. I'm going to just start hitting him with this right hand. I'm going to start bullying him a little bit, clinching up, hitting him with these overhand rights to his shoulder and backing him up, and just keep doing that and just keep repeating until maybe I could stop him, right? Of course, the stoppage never came, but yeah, that was just kind of the pace of the fight. Wilder on the back foot, and Joseph Parker just putting punches together just enough to take these rounds and even like stun Wilder a little bit. So first half of the fight was clean sweep, and going into from 7 on, Joseph Parker started picking it up, hurt Wilder in like round 8. He hurt him with like a big right hand, and just kept putting that pressure on him. Then down to like round 9 and 10, I'd say he did crack Wilder a couple more times. Wilder hit Joseph Parker a few times in this fight, but never hurt him. That's the crazy part. Like, Joseph Parker was outboxing Wilder. You would think that maybe Wilder would land at least like 1 or 2 shots and maybe stun Joseph Parker, and then Joseph would like hold and continue outboxing him. But the big shot never even came from Wilder. Like, he couldn't even like clip him and stun him in this fight. That's the weird part. And I think it just really came down to how he was generating power off of his legs. Like, the way he was turning his shots over, they just didn't have that effect on Joseph Parker, because Joseph Parker was moving his head and Wilder wasn't getting that full extension, and he wasn't really putting that force on it, like putting his foot down on his shots. When you look at his legs, just watch his legs in this fight, man, you'll really notice it. But there was a couple of right hands too, like whenever Wilder would throw them, they would just kind of scrape off of Joseph Parker's head, or like they would miss off the mark when Joseph would just move his head. So you were really starting to see like the accuracy of Wilder was just off too. Like, timing and accuracy was off. Not enough body work from Wilder here. I feel like some of the uppercuts he was throwing to the head, those were big mistakes. If he would just like committed to the body with some good hooks and headshots, he would have probably got more damage results on Joseph Parker. But nah, man, 7 through 12, just another clean sweep, man. It was another clean sweep. Wilder was getting hit with some big shots, hurt with some big shots, like 9 and 10. 12, he was getting hit with some big body shots. And that's another thing. I think Joseph Parker, like, the best part of this fight for Joseph Parker, I think, was his body work. Like, when he would, step in and push Wilder back with his hands up, high guard, he was throwing some nice uppercuts to the body in a few of the rounds, hitting Wilder with some good body shots. And I think that was taking gas out of Wilder too, man. So, yeah, Wilder, he showed game. He was always in the fight, but it was like the power wasn't there. Something like, it seemed like the power kind of diminished. Either that, or just maybe something about his physicality, or something like maybe his arms, his shoulders, or something. Or like I said, in the legs, like the way he's throwing now, it's just not generating the same power. Because in the past, when he'd hit you with just one shot, he could clip and hurt you. Like Bermane Stiverne, he went the distance with him first time, but he could still hurt the guy. But this fight, he wasn't even hurting him. Like, I don't know, again, like I said, accuracy was off, but even when like the right hand would land to the jaw, Joseph Parker took those best shots. So yeah, man, I think there's just a different Wilder out there. But again, that's no excuse. 12 rounds to zip, I had it for Joseph Parker. From here, man, Joseph Parker, this is a good win for him. Maybe it puts him in like a position to get a rematch with Anthony Joshua, since Anthony Joshua won his fight. I don't know what's going to go on from here. Does he get an Andy Ruiz fight, something like that, just to kind of build his stock back up? Who knows? But from here, man, for Deontay Wilder, I don't know, man. I know some people feel like maybe he should retire. I know on his IG he said that, he's coming right back. He's not done yet. But I could see the part where he could retire at this point. Wilder's been in some serious wars. Those 3 fights with Tyson Fury were no joke, especially the second and third fight. Those were some heavy, damaging shots that he took in that fight, along with Fury. Fury took some hellacious shots in that fight too. So they both took years off their lives in those two, in just those 2 fights alone. So for Deontay Wilder, somebody that has done so much with just a limited style, I think that it would be nice to see him retire. I think that he's given me, as a boxing fan, he's given me all that he can. Like, I don't think Wilder can really like turn into this like technician overnight, or in his next fight. Like, he's not going to turn into that now. Like, he's not going to turn into like a Lennox Lewis or a Muhammad Ali or anybody like that overnight. I think maybe he could like change his style up as far as a puncher with somebody like George Foreman in his corner. But as far as like just changing his style overnight to like gain the belts again and go on another run, that's not happening. Again, he's given us all he really could have as a knockout puncher, knocking everybody out in his prime, winning the belt, defending that belt 10 times, going off and making big money fights in a rivalry with somebody like Tyson Fury, and then being on this card in Dubai, looking to build up a potential fight with AJ. But now that potential fight with AJ is gone, there's really no need to stick around and fight these other guys. These other guys are so big now, they don't even have to have like great skill to like land on them, because Wilder doesn't really have the same type of movement or power in the defense, So I know that seems like a lot to say just off of this one fight, but hey, you just never know. Like, he just hasn't shown that same type of killer energy like he has in the past. So me personally, for the guy that's sticking around this long in the heavyweight division, I think it might be time for him to go. Might be time to retire again. He's done so much already. And you won't really see a guy like Wilder. You really won't see that many guys like this make it that far. So, I think he could just move on and live with that. But if he chooses to fight on, I don't know who else he can fight that's safe for him. I mean, even like Frankie Sanchez is a dangerous fighter. Even the Zhang heavyweight, the WBO interim heavyweight champion, he'd be a handful for him too. Any of these guys, So from here, just looking at Wilder's physicality too, these guys would just be too much for him. If he's not moving a little bit more fluid with a good stiff jab, and he's not, using the left hand, mixing it in with the right hand, and if he can't get out of being right hand dependent, then I don't see him doing much more right now at heavyweight, even though most of these guys are a little bit, on the sluggish and sloppy side at times. I don't see Wilder going on this run anymore. But yeah, that's all I got on this, guys. I just kind of wanted to talk about Deontay Wilder a little bit here, because I'm a fan of Wilder, but as I'm looking at him as a technician and how he's sticking around in a dangerous division, to me, I think it would be better off, if he just called it quits, retired, has a great family and everything, other things going on for him. So, hey, we see it time and time again. This is a dangerous sport to stick around in, especially if you don't have the same fire that you had in the beginning. But that's just my thoughts on it, guys. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Combo Breaker 99, I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.